My M32, wife F32, just confessed that she cheated on me a few days ago. Where do I go from here? Background: we live in a state in lockdown due to corona, but cases are mild where we live since we're far from the major population centers. However, we have spent the majority of our time since March stuck at home. My wife and our son, 3, went to visit family for 2 weeks in a neighboring state since they have had no cases in their area, and things are more or less normal. This would also give my wife a much-needed break as the grandparents could watch the kiddo. While there, wife was hanging out with an old family friend, M50, who told my wife he wanted her to enjoy her little vacation in free time and had a lot of activities planned for them. He would take her shopping, to the lake, out for dinner. Pretty much all the stuff she loved doing but couldn't do to lockdown, no babysitter. I was aware they were doing this but wasn't concerned due to the long friendship and trust of the friend, as well as with my wife. Honestly, she needed a break, and this seemed like it would help her a lot. One night after drinking at his house, they ended up naked and having sex. My wife told me that while there was PIV, after only a little bit she realized that what she was doing was wrong and stopped it. No one finished. However, there was an earlier incident where he ended up giving her oral sex to completion. My wife just came home today, and once kiddo was asleep, she confessed all of the above to me. I'm shocked, betrayed, all the feelings that a cheated on person can feel. I'm angry at my wife, angry at my friend, despaired because now I don't know what's going to happen with my family. One second I want to get a divorce because I feel betrayed, the next I want to fix things and save my family. To compound my feelings, my wife is partially blaming me for what happened, saying that if I treated her better and showered her with attention like our ex-friend, then she would never have been attracted to him. I'll admit that our marriage has been rocky for a while, and that she is right that I haven't been very affectionate with her as I should. But her actions just take it to a whole different level and really can't be compared. What do I do? Where do I go from here? My first suggestion, I said to my wife, is that we should get marriage counseling, but she said she didn't need it. She's fully aware of what she did and doesn't need someone to explain to her why she did what she did. She did say that she wants to fix our marriage, and I do think she feels bad for what she did. But at the same time, it seems that she thinks her confession was the only step to reconciliation that she needed to make. I want things to work, at the very least for our son, but everything is so raw and fresh I don't know what to do. Tomorrow I'll look into counseling for myself to help work through my feelings, but I figure why not ask a bunch of internet strangers for advice. Best case, someone says something that really helps. Worst case, I ignore everyone, delete this account, and continue with life. So Reddit, what advice do you have for a cheated on husband and father at it? I appreciate all the advice, but I realize that things are much too raw to process anything right now. It hasn't even been 24 HRS since I found it. I'm going to take a break from Reddit and take some time to sort through everything. Once the dust settles, I'll come back and read everything that's been said, but for now, I'm taking a timeout. Story 2. My boyfriend makes me want to curl up and cry every time we have a discussion. Advice? Hey guys, I've been trying to figure out a weird relationship dynamic that keeps surfacing with my boyfriend on a weekly to bi-weekly basis. We're 20F and 22M and have been together for only 6-7 months now. We have been living together since 2 months or so, which I know sounds very rushed. However, we are university students in a city with a terrible housing crisis, so the only other option would have been homelessness or discontinuing our education. But outside of pragmatic reasons, we both think it was a good decision. We enjoy each other's company a lot and have a great synergy for anything household related. We go on very nice dates every now and then, enjoy movie nights, dinners, act. While everything else is working out great, we do have communication issues that we have had a really hard time overcoming. My boyfriend is an incredibly intelligent, rational, and critical young man. I love him for that, but when something doesn't immediately make sense to him or conflicts with his knowledge/observations, he gets thrown off easily. This happens quite a lot because while he chooses his words very carefully, I tend to approach conversations intuitively. I have ADHD, so I often tend to switch words and sentences without noticing, which obscures their meaning, go off on a tangent which I find very important and interesting, while nobody can see the relation, or plainly forget making certain considerations before stating something. Sometimes I also agree with him on something and just forget to say that I do, which then results in miscommunication further down the road. He's great at spotting errors and inconsistencies, so as soon as one comes up, he has to halt the conversation and examine. This results in him asking a long string of questions until he understands, scrutinizing whatever I said or thought or felt. We often reach a point where he goes, "If you agree to X and Y, you must also agree to A and B. If you do not, you are either lying to me or being ridiculous." Usually in these situations I'm neither. It is just that I cannot explain myself in a way that makes him understand. I get incredibly frustrated and upset in these situations, to a point where I can't think straight, because I'm bawling and my chest feels tight. I know he really doesn't mean any harm with his questions, but the way in which he approaches the situation makes me feel very unaccepted and alienated, like everything I say and believe is wrong or flawed and like I am backed into a corner with nowhere to hide. You see, it feels a little bit like panic. It's incredibly frustrating because I know he isn't trying to be hurtful, but instead trying to understand. My brain just automatically goes, he doesn't think the way you perceive this is valid, if it's not inherently rational, which may be true, instead of telling me that he doesn't mean it that way and is just trying to understand how I come to my conclusions. It becomes especially complicated when he asks what part of his behavior is upsetting me, because my head is a scrambled mess, and it's really hard to pinpoint. The guy has never raised his voice or his hands in his whole life, and is generally super chill, so he doesn't really get that he just has an offensive way of putting things. Random other context. I'd gotten better at handling the situation. I used to just shut down before, but I found ways to calm myself down and continue the conversation instead of fleeing it. So that's a small win. Never had this issue to this extent with anyone ever in my life. Used to do competitive debating, so it can't be that I can't handle people disagreeing with me. Spoke to my therapist in ADHD CBT about this, regarding issues with listening/wording things, and she hinted at my boyfriend displaying signs of Asperger's. My boyfriend told me that he had people in his life who told him that every time he spoke to them, they said he made them feel dumb. I seriously think he's not trying to be mean because he offered just stopping to ask questions, which I refuse because I really want to figure this out. Big thanks in advance for any advice you got. 3. I'd love to somehow figure out a way to not be hurt and have calm discussions. Story 3. Boyfriend, M28, is unemployed and I, F26, am very frustrated. I have been with my partner for 7 years now. I am self-employed and have created my own business, which is doing really well in the fashion industry. I am motivated and passionate about what I do and I love it. My partner is very computer savvy and very smart. He got made redundant just before the pandemic in 2019, and it's now nearly 2022, and he still hasn't got a job. He's been vaguely looking for jobs throughout online and hasn't heard anything back until the other week. He got offered a trial, did the trial, and then they offered him the job. But he is now saying he doesn't want it because he didn't really like the company and he thinks he can find something better. I'm furious. Him being unemployed has caused so many arguments in our relationship. I feel like because he is sat at home, doing nothing, he constantly wants to see me but I'm busy, and that makes me feel bad. He never has any money to pay for things, so we can't go on little holidays or do things together. I always offer to pay for him, but he won't let me. I just don't know what to do. We had an argument and I told him it would be stupid not to take the job, and now he is saying that I am guilt-tripping him. It's taken him nearly 3 years to get this job offer. I just don't know if I can cope with him being unemployed for another few years if he doesn't take this. Can you offer any advice with how to deal with this situation?